Jesus Christ. All right. Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I'm talking to you now. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I... Turn around, look at somebody, let's sing it again. You're talking to them. Amazing grace. Now God hears you. God hears you. That's me. Bobby, I was a wretched. I was a wretched man. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. And now I can see. Give away a hand clap. Amen. Libby, you can go ahead and turn the screen off. All right. Does everybody here know this guy? Hey, I could recognize him. Didn't you drive? What did you drive when you was younger now? Is it a little Ford Mustang?
70 Ford Mustang.
74 Mustang. I remember being in the youth leader at Riverview Temple of Faith, and Papa Hugh would ask me if I would come and talk to Hugh. Hugh needed Jesus. Him and Donna were just, they were not married then, they were just dating, but Papa Hugh felt like that Junior needed the Lord. So he said, Pete, that's what he called me. He said, Pete, would you come talk to Junior about Jesus Christ? And let me tell you something. That Ford Mustang had some kind of lookout on it. Because every time I would pull up in that driveway to talk to this guy,
That bad dog was fast, too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Lord. I want to thank everybody for being here.
Are you going to tell us what the Lord's done for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and let me give you a little bit of warning too. I talked to Pastor about doing this a few weeks ago, and he said, okay, go ahead and do it. So I've been practicing it over at the shop. In my mind, just in my mind. So y'all get ready, because he told me to bring scripture. And you notice I brought 3 Bibles up here. So I've got the scripture. And some of this that I went through in my mind, it might take 4, 5, 6 hours to do it. So,
you go as long as you want to, we don't leave like 12:30.
well, when God gets through, I'm going to turn it off. But until then, he's in charge. But the first time Pastor Glenn asked me about doing my testimony, I've been trying to think of how long I'd been a Christian, how old I was as a Christian at the time. And I really thought it was 6 months. And then the other night I was going through some papers, and lo and behold, God, he showed me exactly what it was. This is where I wrote out my first testimony, right here. And then I typed it out so I could read it, because I couldn't even read that hen scratch that was on there. So I typed it out and printed it out on the computer, and it was about 3 pages, just three pages so long. And when I got to the bottom of it, I said, Pastor Glenn gave me 5 minutes, and probably my 5 minutes is up. But, that was probably on 12, 15, somewhere along in there. But that was the first time. And let me tell you this, being a 9-month-old Christian, it is hard when the pastor asks you to do something, especially come up here and do anything. It's hard to tell him, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, you do it, yeah, you do it, you go ahead and do it, but for that whole 2 weeks or whatever it was in between that time of when he asked me, will you do your testimony, I dreaded it. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I dreaded coming up here, because I couldn't stand in front of 1 or 2 people without getting dog drunk to talk to them. There wasn't no way I could do it. I mean, because I was just embarrassed, I couldn't do it. Low self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. But I was sitting, the chairs were a little different. I love this, I love the way he's got this set up too. I mean, it's wonderful, I love it. But the chairs were a little different. Brother Paul, he sat right in front of me. Sister Glennie sat right there. And that's where I started sitting at when first time I walked through those doors. I come through the wrong doors to come into the church. And everybody looked at me kind of like, you know, and you did too, Don. Don't sit there and look like that. You came in the door with me. But we felt so at home, so welcomed here. And even though it'd been years since he tried to run me down, you know, it just felt like this was home. And honestly, the stage sort of looked like this right here as far as the wood. You can see the wood and all on it, but it's this part right here. The bathrooms wasn't finished, and we went in some pretty nice churches. I mean, with stained glass and the pews and all this stuff. But I just didn't feel at home. But I kept talking to Donna and said, well, you know, I think I want to go back over there to Pastor Glenn's church, and we did. And that's been 18 years ago. 18 years to be September 18th of this month. And today's our anniversary. We've been married 47 years with that part of it. 18 years ago, if somebody had told me, you're going to be standing up in front of a bunch of people in a church giving your testimony about God, I can't tell you what I would have told them here. Because, you know, I would have never, that was the last thing in my mind was anything about God. Me and God, we sort of had this deal. Everybody remember Tom T. Hall? You know, me and Jesus got our own thing going. Well, that's sort of like me and God. We had our own thing going. He left me alone, I left him alone. You know, it was that simple. You know, Lord, you just, and I wish I didn't pray. It was a whole lot of different words and all that stuff then. But in my mind, all that time, I really had the idea that if I died, not when I died, but if, because a lot of times you get all this junk in your mind and you don't really think about death. You don't think nothing about it. You don't, you know, I believe God's put a will into all of us to live, and we don't ever think about death. We don't think much about it. But does anybody remember what happened on September 18th? September 11th, 2001. I mean, most of us remember what happened on that, right? I remember, and let me, since my family's here, I'm going to tell this too. I tried to think of what I did on September 10th, and nothing was coming into my mind about September the 10th. And then after I read the first testimony that I was going to give, then God reminded me what happened on September the 10th. Now this is September the 10th, the day before September the 11th. And Pop died on January 14th, 1991. And for 10 years, I'd had dreams about Pop. And the first dream that I had about him, it wasn't the first one, but in this one, he had an old orange chair that he sat in down there at his house. And like Pastor Glenn talked about, he twiddled them thumbs all the time. He just kept them thumbs twiddling. And he had this little chop thing, because he loved the Braves. And he had this little chop thing. And I kept that chair over my shop until it finally just deteriorated so bad I had to throw it away. But he would beat on that chair with that thing when the Braves were playing, popping them teeth. I mean, you know, while the Braves were playing. And on September 10th, I dreamed about Pop, and in that dream, he was sitting in that chair, and he was twiddling his thumbs. He said, Junior, I'm gone. He said, y'all gonna have to take care of your mammy. That's what he called her, mammy. Y'all gonna take care of your mammy now. And I dreamed that dream for I don't know how long. And then on September the 10th, I had this dream, and it was a long hallway, just a long hallway down through there. It had some lights in the back of it, but I could see a casket. And you couldn't really make out what the casket was or nothing. So I started walking toward the casket, and when I got up to that casket and looked in there, it was Pop. Never dreamed about him being dead in this whole time. I never dreamed about him being dead. But I dreamed about Pop being dead on the night of September the 10th. And then on September the 11th, all this stuff started happening with those planes. And the first plane flew into the World Trade Center. And I thought maybe it was one of those little tourist planes or something like that, and he got too close or something, and the wind blew it into the World Trade Center or something like that. I didn't have no idea it was no passenger plane. And then Rhubarb Jones come back on and said, folks, something's going on. That another plane hit the World Trade Center. And then he come back a little while later, a plane's gone down in a field in Pennsylvania. A plane has flew into the Pentagon. And then I knew something, it wasn't right. That something wasn't right, something was going on. And for the first time, I was 46, and for the first time in my life, in my 46 years, and I've done some hellacious things, I'll be honest with you. I hate to use that word in church, but I have done some things that I should be dead from, honestly. I tempted fate, I tempted God, I tempted so much stuff in that 46 years till, in all honesty, I should be dead. But my daddy's prayers, my mama's prayers, my Aunt Bell's prayers, those prayers, God put that hedge of protection around me. I didn't deserve it, but he did it. And I wouldn't advise nobody to wait 46 years. I wouldn't advise anybody to wait 46 years, to wait 1 minute. If the Holy Spirit starts convicting your heart, then by all means, ask God to forgive you for it. But when all this started happening, for the first time in my remembrance of being a little boy or anything else, I knew I was going to die. And I knew when I died, I was going to go to hell. I was going to go to hell. For all those other years, for everything that I did, all the evil, all the sinning, and I did, like I say, some hellacious things. There's 10 commandments. I broke every one of them. I don't think I ever killed nobody. I really don't think I ever killed nobody. Physically. Mentally, spiritually, no telling how many I killed. With words. But as far as physically killing, I don't think I ever did kill nobody. But I broke all 10 of his commandments. Covet, steal, lie. The first one is to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. I cared less about God. The only time I ever said anything about God was when I was down him in some way. And for the world to look at me, they would have thought, hey, he's a pretty old boy. Because, I did my drinking, I did my adultery, I did my porno, I did all this other stuff, but I left other folks alone. I didn't bother nobody. I did it all from my house, from my truck, from my motel room, wherever I was at. And, I was in my own little world, doing my own little thing. I wasn't bothering nobody. So from the world's point of view, looking at me, I was okay. Amen. Glenn wasn't looking at me like that. Thank the Lord. But Christian people, believe you me, I knew 2 verses in the Bible. One of them was, somebody like Glenn come up to me and start talking to me about my life stuff. Hey, don't your book say something about you ain't supposed to be judging me? That's used a whole lot now in church too. It's used a whole lot in church. And I don't look at it as judging. I'm gonna throw the word judge away. Because only God can do that. That's his job. That ain't my job. And when I'm talking to somebody about this kind of thing, I tell them, I said, I'd mess up. If God put me in charge of judging, if he put me there and say, okay, today I'm gonna let you judge everybody. Everybody comes in. I want you to judge. I'd be sitting there and one of my old buddies, one of my old drinking buddies, he died, he go on a motorcycle, whatever, he come in, and, he ain't never accepted nothing but the devil. But I like him. He's a good old guy, So, ain't nobody looking going at it, That'd be me. That's how I do it. But God don't judge like that. God don't judge like that one little bit. He's just. And the reason I brought 3 Bibles is I'm supposed to be doing my testimony. Get back on your testimony. Okay, get back on your testimony. And I know God, the first time I did my testimony, Mom was sitting back here. And her and Donna was sitting there together. If anybody can tell you about my life, that woman right there can. Because honestly, I put her through more hell than I like to even think about. But she's still there with me after 47 years. So, our marriage had to be made in heaven, even though it went through hell to get to where we're at now. And I thank God for her every day. But her and Ma was sitting there, and I can't tell you the look on Ma's face, because I was kind of nervous, pretty nervous about being up here the first time. But I kept watching Ma back there, imagining Pop being sitting back there with her. But Pop wouldn't have been on the third row. Ain't no way he'd have been on the third row. He'd have been right down there. He'd have been right there on the front row, because he'd been watching this baby boy. I told Kara the other day, I got a picture of Kara on my phone, and she's about 2 or 3 years old, and Kara now, she's 11. And we was at a reunion, and I don't know if she's getting tired or what, but she come up and got in my lap, and she had her thumb in her mouth, but she was so content by being there in my arms, and me holding her, and just, she felt at peace. She knew she was at peace there, and she was protected. And I told her, I said, Kara, I know you're growing up, because Kara can be a handful sometimes, all of them can. But I said, I know you're growing up. And I said, when I start looking at you with my eyes as this little grown girl, but my heart still sees you as this little girl right here. And, that's the way it is with parents. If they love their kids, they still see them as that little one. I see you that way too, Mimi. So don't sit there like that. I see you that way. But Amazing Grace, I asked Miss Linda if she would play that at the end of it. And my testimony is just like a million other testimonies before me, and a million other testimonies that's going to come after me. And that is, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. And it's by His amazing grace. And imagine that. To be lost and blind is a real bad combination, if you think about it. To be lost and blind. You don't know where you're going. You can't see where you're going. And that's the same way in the spiritual world. I was so lost that I had no idea how to get where I really needed to be at. I didn't have no idea how to get there. Because in my mind, the devil was working on me at that time too. And let me tell you, my drinking started when I was 16 years old. And I was introduced to alcohol early. I had to go to bootlegger to get it because I wasn't old enough to buy it. Douglas County was a dry county. You don't see that much anymore. You couldn't buy alcohol in Douglas County. You had to go across the line over into into Cobb County to buy beer. But with me being only 16, I had to go on top of the hill to the bootlegger. And if his light was on, then I'd come up there and knock on the door, and I'd get my beer. And that went on until I got to be 18, and then Douglas County got to be wet, as they call it. And so I could go to the beer store and buy a beer there. And when I first started out drinking, it was like anything else. Whenever you first start, you can quit anytime you want to. I ain't just stop anytime I want to. Smoking cigarettes, I ain't stop anytime I want to. Dipping snuff, yeah, I said it. I can stop anytime I want to. Wrong. You can't stop anytime you want to. With alcohol, it just takes a hold of you. And alcohol made me into a different person. It made me into somebody that could talk, I could stay right up there with the best of them. Lie like a dog. And, I just built myself up with alcohol. And the things that I would do, I wouldn't normally do sober. So, alcohol, that got to be my best friend. I didn't like liquor. Liquor made me mean. It made me want to fight, and I couldn't fight. I didn't know how to fight. So, I didn't want no part in the liquor. But beer, it just mellowed me out. It just made me a good old boy. And so from 16 to 46, and the more